And welcome back, everybody, to the Podcaster Nation. That's right. I said welcome back because I know you were just listening to our stuff and you loved it so much that you wanted to come back for more. Folks, that was a brilliant move. It was an absolutely fantastic decision because we have a lot more for you. Now, why do we have so much more for you? Because this is the podcast. It's about podcasters, it's for podcasters, and it's done by podcasters. And our guest today is, amongst other things, wait for it, a podcaster. That's right. Man, you guys are brilliant. This is the place where we come together to raise each other up, and this is the place where the rising tide truly raises all of our podcasting ships. So let's get rolling, let's get sailing, and let's bring in our guest today. She's a wife, a mother, Christian. She's an author of the book Her Story of Jesus. She's the host of the Profound Moments podcast. She's also on Substack. We're going to talk about all that today. Please welcome Katie Sampias. Katie, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Rory, for that introduction.
I appreciate you coming on. I had the absolute pleasure of having you on one of my other podcasts, Wake Up the Lions, and we had a great conversation there. Looking forward to another great conversation here. Welcome to the nation. That's where we are today. So, you ready to talk podcasting?
Yes, I most certainly am
All
ready
right.
to talk about it. Yep, go
Wonderful.
for it.
All right, Katie. So I'll tell you what, you've got a book, you've got a podcast. Just tell everybody a little bit about who you are. Who is Katie Sampius? How'd you get where you are today?
Sure. So I live in Brisbane, Australia. I am married to a wonderful man who actually is American. So we live here together. We have three kids, two girls and a boy, 7, 5, and 3. So my life is quite hectic at the moment. Um, and I work, and then in my spare time, I write, and I do this podcast called the Profound Moments Podcast, where I talk to people about things that have happened in their life and give them a platform to talk about their interesting stories. Um, and I have been surprised myself about the things that have actually come up that I didn't expect in the interviews I've done so far. I go with open questions and see where it leads. So I'm finding it really fun to talk to different people about their experiences in life. Everyone has a story. And I often think, the truly interesting things about people are missed in today's world of social media and quick comments and that sort of thing. So this is a way to have conversations with people about what really makes them tick
Nice, nice.
and how they've been influenced in their life by different things.
Very cool. What you mentioned unexpected things. Can you give us an example of something that was unexpected that kind of caught you by surprise when you're talking to somebody?
Yeah, so the first person I interviewed was my friend Christine. She went to my school and she started up a women's retreat. Um, is it a company? No, it's not probably a company, a ministry called Sunflower Site. And I thought she was just going to talk about that. And we got into the call, and I'd never actually heard like her story about how she came to have profound faith in God. And then she told me about this amazing like physical experience she had. And I'd never heard it before. And I was like, whoa, that was pretty intense. Like, so that was pretty cool. And then the same thing happened in my second interview with the person I was talking to. She had a pretty uh, profound experience I thought she was going to talk about, but she actually ended up wanting to talk about a different one, which was also very profound. So I just I just went with it, and it was great to hear those stories and have them recorded because I hadn't heard them, and I'm sure other people would want to hear them as well. So yeah,
That's awesome.
that's the experience I've had so far.
That's awesome. And
Definitely unexpected things, yeah, in conversation.
right. You never know what someone's going to come up with, in a podcast. And so you can be sitting there and you can have it all laid out and have your paperwork all ready. And even people who do preset questions can have, 10 different questions all ready to go. And then the guest comes on and starts talking and it's like, whoa, I guess we're going this direction. And you have
Mm.
no idea. So you're fairly new to the podcasting space. How long you been doing it?
Well, I think I recorded my first episode back in March, but I don't think I posted it until April because I had trouble working out how to edit. Um, so I've only done six. I'm going to do my seventh one tomorrow, just with my writing and being a guest on my book circuit at the
Hmm.
moment and coping with kids. I just fit them in when I can. Um, yeah, tomorrow will be my seventh episode recording. My aim for the year is to do 10.
Okay.
So I
All
don't
right.
have a set schedule at the moment, but I plan to do that in the future, but just trying to get them done when I can.
Nice. Uh,
Podcasting in the cracks.
There you go. So I think you've averaged, it looks like kind of one a month. Is that sort of safe to say?
Hmm.
Getting one out each month,
Yeah, I
give or
think
take?
on Podmatch I say once a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Now, I know that, let's back up for a second because you got into this whole thing and you mentioned it, your book tour and so on. You released a book called Her Story of Jesus. Tell
Hmm.
everybody a little bit about that, and then we'll kind of go back to the podcast, for a minute. But tell everybody about your book so they know what we're talking about here.
Yeah, so I wrote a series of short stories based on the Gospels that follows the chronology of Jesus's life, but through the eyes of women and different characters, and also my own reflections on writing the pieces. So that's her story of Jesus. I've always been interested in writing, and I was led to write that book, I feel, over a period of time. So that's my first book, and it's out there. I'm on Substack, and then Substack had a podcast section. And I thought, why not podcast when I'm trying to do Substack? And I've always been interested in talking to people. And as a writer, sometimes it can be quite lonely writing. So podcasting is good for my extroverted personality. And also I can use it for my writing because people that listen to my podcast might also read what I write. So it kind of works for a few different things in my life and what I like to do with writing and speaking to people.
Nice. Okay. And so it's all going through it's all going through Substack right now. It's kind of where you're hosting and pushing everything through.
It's on Apple Podcasts as well and Spotify.
Right.
And yeah, but yeah, I post it on Substack and it does that automatically for me.
Awesome.
So the other platforms.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, and I found it because I got to listen to several of your episodes. Some before the last time I interviewed you, and then this time I went back and listened to the other ones. So we had you've got Profound Moments podcast. So in your podcast, you're interviewing folks. What are you looking for in that person you're interviewing when it comes to profound moments? Is it just people telling their stories? Is it folks who have had some sort of awakening? Is it faith based? I'm just curious.
I didn't set out for it to be necessarily faith-based. I think people who find meaning in their life in different ways, and I'm open to talking to people that don't have what they would call a faith. Most of the people I've interviewed, though, have been Christians and have had profound moments that have either increased their faith or led them to faith in God. Um, But pivotal moments and how things changed in moments is what I'm looking for, but not necessarily faith-based, not exactly a testimony because yet it's talking about moments that really make a big impact in your life.
Nice.
That does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah,
Do you have any?
absolutely.
But yeah,
Nice, nice. Okay. So, did you start podcast guesting to help promote the book and then decide you wanted to get your own podcast, or was it the other way around? Did you start the
it was
podcast
the
and
other way around. Yeah, and oh well, I think I actually was a guest on a podcast before I did release my first episode,
hmm.
but I think I may have recorded my first episode before I was the guest. So I don't know, it's a little bit chicken and eggy, but I I, I always wanted to do a podcast and talk to people, and I have studied journalism, and this is one way to do it. So I think I always
Ah,
wanted to do it. It wasn't just because I was guesting and then I just thought I'd throw it in there because Podmash has both.
right.
Um, I always intended to do it separately, yeah, but I'm not sure which one came first exactly. It was around the same time that I my first episode as a guest was released, as was my first podcast episode. So
Excellent. All right. You just kind of pulled the trigger on all of it all at the same time, and it was something that you wanted to do for a while.
Yeah, well, interestingly, I tried to pull the trigger for a while with my podcast, but I ran into a glitch, which may be my words of wisdom for podcasters later on. I had trouble at working out editing tools. So
You're
I
not
had it
alone.
recorded for a while, and then I don't like the free version of the one that's on, is it Microsoft? There's some free version. I couldn't work it out. So I just ended up buying something that worked
Right.
for me.
The free versions of anything are kind of hard to navigate, and of course they do that on
Mm.
purpose so that you
Oh,
buy it.
but I
But
wouldn't buy that product from that company because it was so hard to actually work out how to use it. Anyway, yeah.
gotcha. All right, that's awesome though. I mean, I didn't realize when I talked to you last time that podcasting was something that you had, wanted to do for quite a while. That's
Well,
interesting.
I don't know if
What
it's
kind of where'd
actually
that
like
come from?
pod podcasting or is it just talking to people and this is the medium in which you do it, I think.
Ah, okay.
I like interviewing people. I mean, I I have done quite a bit of interviewing in my life in different contexts because I used to work as an investigative lawyer. So I have to had to interview a lot of people sort of in a more hostile environment. I definitely enjoy interviewing people in a non-hostile environment more. Um,
I'll
so,
bet.
but that was still getting people's stories. So I've done that before and enjoy talking to people. And then, yeah, study journalism and always like that aspect of talking to people to get, store their stories down. So,
Nice. Nice. No, I knew that you had studied journalism before, but did you say you were an investigative lawyer?
yeah, my first degree was a law degree. Um, yeah, so I did that first because I was
Wow.
kind of discouraged not to study writing straight up because it wasn't a stable career path. So I went back to study it later. Yeah.
Holy cow. I mean, that's fascinating all by itself. Most people, that end up in law go there, like that's what they're trying to do is get into law. You sort of got into law and said, yeah, no thanks.
Mm. Yeah, I wouldn't say I technically work as a lawyer now, but I I do law related stuff, and that
Oh,
probably suits me a bit better. I don't like getting into the weeds and being super technical.
wow.
So I have a law degree. I did it as maybe it's just different in Australia. I did it. I think the advice I was given at the time was it's the more general degree, and here and when I did it, it wasn't a postgraduate degree like you do it as your primary degree. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's the case anymore, but anyway.
Wow.
Probably
Okay.
going off a bit of a tangent here, but yes, it's a general degree. It gives you a good background for doing a lot of jobs. So
All right.
yeah.
Yeah, I apologize. I just get, I hear these stories and I hear these, people tell these stories in the United States. I mean, it is the law degree is what you get after you've like really
Yeah.
focused on that, so it's all this graduate work and everything else in order to get it. It's just not something you walk in, grab it and leave. No one would ever call it a general degree over here for sure. So it just caught me by surprise, but that's awesome. I mean, you've got a lot of stuff in your background, and that does explain, where this comes from. I guess your desire to ask questions and your love for this kind of thing. That's really cool.
Mm. And
Really cool.
also why I wrote a book on imaginative, I guess, investigative imaginative prayer. Yeah, because I wanted like getting into the weeds on details, I guess.
Nice. Okay. All right. And did that book come out before Her Story of Jesus?
Oh no, that is the book I'm talking about. That is her story of Jesus is
Oh, I
based on
see.
an
You're
imaginary.
categorizing that book as an investigative story. I got you. I got you.
Mm.
All right. It's early in the morning, so I missed that
I know,
segment.
it's
I
fair enough.
apologize. I appreciate you. Awesome. Okay, let's talk about the podcast just a little bit, since hey, this is Podcaster Nation. Now, have you gotten into promoting the podcast? Do you do that heavily? Is it just are you just going with whatever's organic? What's been your experience with that so far?
Mm. Well, yes, I haven't got heavily into that. I have been promoting it through my Substack site. So
Mhm.
people that are my subscribers and followers will see when I post, and the people that are my subscribers will get an email. And I also have been posting on Instagram, and that is about it. So I haven't heavily got into um, promoting it heavily. Yes, it's not something I have given more thought to, but Rory, what would you suggest is the next thing that I should do for marketing my podcast?
There we go, right? Yeah. Everybody has their own ideas for sure. Have you done anything then like social media wise? Instagram's pretty much where you've been.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have my own Instagram for the podcast yet. Maybe I have to think about doing that, but then I will be running 4 different Instagram accounts. So that is
Okay.
also a thing I have to think about.
Gotcha. All right. Well, sometimes you can combine those. It depends on how your whole layout is with everything you're doing. You have a lot of different
Yeah.
projects. So, I mean, that's really cool, that you're
Yeah.
putting that all together. I always ask everybody if they've monetized. I think, you and I probably had this conversation, maybe off air, but have you done anything to start monetizing the podcast yet or, connected to anything like that?
Not yet. Um, don't have a sponsor of my podcast yet, but maybe I can advertise my friend's retreat on there. I don't know, but it might
Hey,
be.
all right. There
I
you
don't know
go.
if that would be, maybe I'd do that for free though. So not yet. Um, haven't started monetizing.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I
Okay.
actually find my podcast gets a lot more listens and views of my Substack writing posts. And I'm not really sure how that's happening, but yeah, I've got more people that are downloading my podcast than are reading my work on
Hmm.
Substack, according
Okay.
to the stats, which I'm not sure are completely accurate. But yeah.
Well, Substack's an interesting sort of almost an anomaly, because it's this newer type of setup to a lot of podcasters. So I think that Substack got started with folks who were writing and wanted to share writing, and then sort of branched
Mm,
into podcasting. But the I've heard that from a lot of folks that they're having some success on the Substack platforms, with getting their podcast out there. So that's cool. I mean, if you're getting that result, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Now,
mm.
you put out a podcast a month, ish. The How much writing are you putting out there? I'm just curious, on a regular basis. What's
I mean,
the
when I'm on,
ratio?
I would like to do one post a week,
Mhm.
but that's kind of unrealistic for me. Maybe one post every 2 weeks
Okay,
is more, and that still would be pushing it a bit. Um, because I'm doing guest podcasts and about my book as well.
sure.
So, but yeah, I'd like to do one post every 2 weeks and one podcast a month. That probably is what I'm aiming at.
Nice. All right. I always ask everybody a corny question, and so here goes the Podcaster Nation corny question for you, and that is, when it comes to doing your podcast, what is it that you love the most about doing the podcast? The hosting and having people on that part, and what is it that you absolutely just hate the most about doing your podcast?
I love that people say things that I don't expect and things go in a different, like when they go, the interview goes better than I expect. I like when that happens. And I find it difficult. I've already talked about my struggle with editing. I actually have a platform now that I actually find a lot easier to edit called Podcast Castle. I'm sure many of your listeners use that. So now it's a bit more fun and easy, and that made my life much better.
Podcastle, right? That's what you're talking about, Podcastle?
Podcastle,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
I don't
I've
know if
heard good
there are
things
better
about that.
ones, but yeah,
No, not at
yeah,
all.
but that's what I use.
Excellent. Okay. But editing is the thing that you hate the most?
Yeah, I mean, it can kind of be fun, I guess. You're moving stuff around, it's kind of fun, but I find it a little bit tedious. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Um,
Well, you're not alone. That's probably the number one answer from
Oh,
everybody.
okay.
So you are not alone. And there are some odd ones. I mean, I get some crazy answers to that question sometimes, but top five answers on the board, I would say editing and then followed closely by promotion, on social media are probably the two that people
Mm.
hate the most. So that's wonderful. Now, did you have a mentor or go through a course or anything like that, or did you just like self-teach, start the podcast, push it out there?
I just self-taught and did it.
Nice. Doesn't surprise me at all in the
Yes.
little bit I've known about you. Doesn't surprise me at all. Is that how you put the book out too? Same thing, self-taught, self-publish,
I'm not self-published. No, I have a publisher.
right?
Well, yeah, so my publisher's Color Press, and they are a publisher based in Texas. Um, but I actually hadn't finished the book before I submitted to them. Um, so yeah, I'd written maybe like 70% of it, and then I submitted to different publishers, and they gave me a contract. Um, but yeah, the podcast is just me having a crack at it
Nice.
myself. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Very good. And I applaud you for taking that on because it's not easy, is it? To just sort of whip the whole podcast right out there.
Well, sometimes it is if somebody just comes on and just has a great chat. But yeah, it probably comes to I think yeah, it's not easy putting yourself out there, but I think I've got a bit better at it now. I just don't care as much. Like if people think I'm crazy, that's okay. I don't mind.
That's great. When you are looking for guests, where have you had the most success in finding guests?
Yeah, this is interesting. It's not off bod match. I just have people that come to me and want to go on my podcast. So,
So
so far,
personal
I'm not sure
connections.
how. Yeah, personal connections.
Wow.
Or like interviewed my friend Brian about prophetic dreams, and he's my husband's friend from school, and we were sitting in the backyard, and he was telling that story, and I was like, you should come on my podcast. So that's generally how it's happened. Um,
That's
so
great. Okay. No, I love it. I wasn't sure now with the episodes that you have, are you working ahead and kind of like putting stuff in storage, in terms of recording episodes, or are you recording it, putting it out, recording it, putting it out? Everybody has
I'm
their own
putting it
style.
out as
So,
I record it. Yeah.
okay.
I'm
All
trying
right.
to get it out. Sometimes I have had a couple where I've had a few interviews in a row, and then I had to, I did the editing at the same time, and then had to space them. But
Mhm.
most of the time, I'll do one interview and then put it out.
Nice. Nice. On with the podcast guesting that you've done, give me an idea. How many episodes do you think you've guested on?
I think this is actually my 10th.
Really? Okay. All right.
Mm.
So two of them have been
Oh,
with me.
yes. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Did
All
you
right.
think I'd done more or less?
I thought you had done more, honestly.
No, I haven't done more. No, yes, you're my 10th. Actually, that was my goal for the year was to do 10 podcasts by the end of this year. So this is my goal reached at the end of this interview.
Okay.
Not that I
Wonderful.
won't keep going, but yeah.
Well, congratulations. You reached it, at the beginning of October. So that's pretty good. That's
Yeah.
awesome. All right. Good for you. Perfect. What is it about podcast guesting that what's your favorite part about going on different shows and guesting on podcasts?
Well, yeah, sometimes it's hard to talk about myself. So I don't particularly like that part completely. I feel like I'm repeating myself sometimes. But I like when there's some kind of synergy and then like the host like throws something in and it's like, yeah, that happened to me. And then they tell this story and then I'm like, oh, this is a great conversation. Like um I was talking to one of the hosts, I think her name's Sue, and about imaginative prayer. And she's like a missionary person. She goes and does sort of retreats for these people in different countries. And she said, yeah, I was talking to these Chinese ladies and I was getting them to act out this story from the Bible. And they came out and they spoke as Jesus, like really angrily. And she said, I think it was because of their cultural interpretation of what had happened. And then I explained to them, I don't think that's what happened. And it was like this big revelation. And I was like, oh, well, imaginative prayer is really, really good because it showed that. Like, so I like when those sort of moments happen when it's, yeah, some kind of, it's not really an aha moment, but it's like, oh, yeah, that happened. And yeah, the
Nice.
unexpected, I guess.
That's cool. That's really cool. So it sounds like you're really enjoying all of the different pieces of the stuff that you're doing. I mean, writing and podcast hosting and podcast guesting, and then writing on Substack. I mean, this has to be a passion project for you at this point, right?
Well, I wish I could do it full time. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be my ideal, but at the moment, no, it's not earning me enough money to do it full time. But if I had my wish, I could do it. I'd do it all the time. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Because you're also, you're working full time in addition to having three kids.
Well, I technically work point 0.8, so I work 5 days, but I finish earlier a few days a week. So it's not completely full time, but yeah, kind of.
Sure. And you're
Kind
still
of full
working.
time. I'm having these 2 weeks off to be with my kids on holidays because they're on spring break. But yeah, yeah, it's a lot. I feel like I'm doing a bit too much. So, but I don't want to give up things I love. So that's kind of tricky, you know?
Right. Yeah. Are they younger kids?
7, 5, and 3. Yeah,
Holy cow, they're younger kids. So yeah, that's a lot of like attention that has to go their direction for sure. So I've been there, done
definitely.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an empty nester, so I remember those days when my wife and I were spending every waking moment doing something for one of our kids. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's a lot.
absolutely. No, I applaud what you're doing. Trying to do your own thing while you're doing all of that is not simple. So congratulations on moving all those things together. Um, with the podcast, the way that you've done it, you've I'm sure encountered a few things as you've gone along. With your guesting, it's been mostly personal folks that have come on. So at this point, I'm guessing you don't have a big sort of screening process in place for guests, or do you? And you just don't need to use it that often because you have personal referrals coming on as guests.
Um, well, I have people do want to have a chat to me sometimes about it. The lady I'm interviewing tomorrow, we had a talk on WhatsApp. She's from New Jersey. And she's a friend of a friend, but I know, and I've also read her book, so I have screened her, I guess. And Brian was, yeah, my I'd already heard his story. Um, so no, not a big screening process. Yeah, maybe that's something I need to develop as I don't know my guests. Sometimes, one of my guests was just a Substack connection. Oh no, yeah, that's right. And that's another way I have been going on podcasts. It's just people's podcasts from that I know about from Substack.
Hmm.
Um, but most of them, yeah, at the moment I've had either, well, Leah, was my second one. I met her on YouTube. So I haven't met her in person, but now we're good WhatsApp friends, and I feel like she's a close connection, even though I've never actually met her in real life. Um, but yeah, we talked on the phone beforehand, so I guess I do some screening.
Hmm,
Yeah,
interesting. Okay. Right. And so it's just kind of dependent on the person. You don't really have a screening system set up or anything
I
because
don't have a
you're not there
system.
yet. Yeah.
No,
Excellent. Okay. I
I
just was
haven't
curious.
interviewed anyone from Podmatch yet, actually.
Really?
So no,
Okay.
not yet. I don't have many matches for my. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I haven't gone and checked my matches for that view. That could be the problem.
I was going to say I'm happy to talk to you about that afterwards. We could we can troubleshoot maybe
Okay.
and see what's going
Okay.
on. So I can't imagine people wouldn't want to connect with you. You know what I mean? You're not exactly difficult to talk to. So I
Oh, thank you, Rory.
you're welcome. All right. I mean, I've done it twice now. And it's
Yeah.
you're pretty affable, I would say.
Oh, thanks, Rory.
No problem.
You too.
Oh, well, thanks. Thanks. All right. So the hmm, with where you are with the podcast, it's interesting because I don't get to talk to that many people who have generated, the whole beginning of their podcast just from personal connection. Usually people come in and
Oh,
they have like
really?
systems and stuff, so it's a little unique, but it's really cool because you're looking for interesting stories from folks,
Mm.
and so you're talking to people, you're relating to them already. And you're saying, hey, like you're sitting there, socially with somebody, and you go, I love that story. You should come on a podcast and tell it. I think that's how a lot of us got into podcasting, was doing those personal connections. Um, is that one of the things that you like the best about doing the podcast? Is that personal connection type of thing?
Well, when you say that, I think I like making personal connections. So I like meeting new people that I have these connections with. Um, it's not necessarily that I want to just talk to my friends.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I like having deep conversations with people, and this is one way to do it. And people like talking about themselves, so I give them a platform to do it. Um,
Wonderful.
hmm, yeah, I
I didn't
think
want to
that's my
cut you off.
answer.
I was going to say, if you look like you're getting ready to say something else, I'm like, oh,
No,
yeah,
no, no,
all right, good
I'm
deal.
all good.
I love it. All right. Let me get contact information out of the way real quick. Now, I know you're on Instagram. How can people find your book, all that? I want to make sure I get it in. I don't forget it when I go to the next question here.
Yep. So my book, A Story of Jesus, is on Amazon.com. It's also can be purchased from Barnes and Noble and also from the Calla Press website. So that's if you just Google Calla Press, you can find it. Calla. And my Instagram account is Surfing White Waves um, on Instagram, and my Substack is Katie Sampias on Substack.
Gotcha. All right. So we'll definitely look for you on Substack. The Instagram, did you say surfing white waves?
Yes, I know. So I had a thought that I should probably change that, but I used to have my web. There is a whole story behind it, and maybe I should write on my Substack about why it's called that. But I think you can find me if you go and look on Instagram for Katie Sampias writing, because there was a point where I was like, maybe I should change that before I release my book and just have a whole new Instagram account. Then there were too many things to start again. So yes,
Gotcha. That whole social media thing it's difficult figuring out what to tie to what. So I totally get where you are.
yes.
I know. I know. And then God forbid you have like more than one interest, like a podcast and
Mm.
so on. So, all right, and people know where to find the podcast. So, in the short time you've been doing it, you have, I mean, you've done quite a bit here. So I guess what's a good piece of advice? What's your best piece of advice that you've come up with so far, that you've learned, that you've encountered for podcasters who are not quite where you are? Maybe they haven't even started yet.
I think you should just do it. It's like the Nike ad. It's like I've had other people on Substack reach out to me and they're like, I really need to talk. I actually have a few people talk, reach out to me and say, I really want to start a podcast and how do I do it? And I'm like, you just go and record it and then just post it. So, I think a lot of people are scared to do it. And I think you just have to kind of get over that fear and just do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Nice. Nice. I love that advice. All right. Wonderful. I'll tell you what, are any last parting thoughts, last minute advice or anything like that for podcasters, for moms who are trying to multitask, for budding authors? You go ahead and take a minute and throw whatever you want out there to any of the people who may be identifying with you right now and are thinking, man, I like what Katie's about. I love what she's trying to do. That type of thing. What do you got?
Hmm. Last parting words. Well, I don't say that I'm an expert on how to balance everything because I don't even feel myself that I'm balancing everything well at the moment. But I do know that my mental health is better when I do some things that I love, and I think that's important if you're a mum.
Nice. Nice. I'm
Mm.
glad you chose the
So
mom angle.
yeah.
All right, great. Kenny, I appreciate you. I think the podcast is already very good, and I'm looking forward to seeing where you take it. You just got that personality about you. They're good conversations. People feel like they're sitting, in the living room with you, having a cup of coffee or something while you're talking to your guests. So you've definitely got that way about you. I
So
appreciate what
you're
you're doing.
saying that I'm on my way to being the next Joe Rogan, Rory,
Could
and
be.
people should come and follow me, or be the female version, obviously. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, it absolutely could be. So, folks, you need to go check out her podcast. You need to follow her on all the socials. Once she gets on the other socials besides just Instagram in like five different names, but we're going to help you with that. Don't worry. We'll get you out there. Yeah, I think you definitely could be the next Joe Rogan. You just keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks, Rory.
You got it. All right, folks. Host of Profound Moments podcast, Katie Sampias. Katie, thank you for being with us today and for sharing everything that you did. Really appreciate you.
Thanks, Rory. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Folks, this has been another awesome episode of the Podcaster Nation. And the reason we have these incredible podcasters on here sharing their stories is because this is the podcast. It's about podcasters, it's for podcasters, and it's done by podcasters. This is the place where the rising tide truly raises all ships. So keep sailing.